Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Depends where you are domiciled in this world. This is US Research TV, formerly known as Real Biafra TV. So this is a wonderful evening. Please, as I welcome you, I equally ask you to welcome one another to join us this wonderful evening, as we are here to share the message of hope, the message of redemption, and the message that you might be forgotten. And instead of you to queue on the line at this time to make sure that you succeed and we end the agenda of Islamization of jihadist movement by Sokoto Caliphate of Osman Dan Fodio, and you refuse to do that, the only thing that's coming to your mind is always to attack this government. That is why we're this evening, for you to know that attacking US declared is attacking, giving chance for the pure agenda of Islamization that is going on, that is moving on in many countries like Nigeria at this 21st century, that they have implemented or banned Christians to stop preaching inside bus or on the bus stop. It may sound common on your ear, but you don't know what that thing actually means. So what it actually means, what I'm here to let you know today, the danger that's already affects you, and the only what can remove you from this danger is simply hardly you believe on it, which is United States of Biafra. And somebody like us who has already believed that we have our own country, United States of Biafra. You see this our redeclaration of November the 29th, 2024. You see our redeclaration of United States of Biafra has changed everything for us. That is why we are happy. That law that Nigeria passed in the House of Senate, that current bill of last week Thursday, that no Christian should preach inside bus or inside bus stop. I want to tell you that you might not take it serious, but there is something there. It is pure evidence to prove to you that your so-called one Nigeria is Islam country that is under Islamic law, and they're doing Sharia law on it. And they are finding a way to Islamize you. And you refuse to listen from Mazin Nnamdi Kanu down to Simon Ekpa. Now that we have redeclared our country, that we end this, you will be a free human being. The only thing you do, or you know how to do, is to come to attack this government. Now that we have redeclared it, now that we have gotten it right, the same way many countries in the past got it right. And when we are calling on you to listen, to pay attention, to support your own nation, the only thing you can do is to render abuse, accuse the government, do your sabotage, do your propaganda, and that is where you think it ends. I am here to remind you that what has happened in Nigeria right now is pure evidence that you are living under Islam law, that the Islamization is real in Nigeria government. Do you know why it's possible? Do you know why that bill must go? And do you know why they have adopted the bill already? And the bill has been passed. They will do it by the number. In the House of Senate, the numbers of Muslims, the numbers of those who believe in Sharia law is bigger than the numbers of those who do not believe on it. Any Baribe is there. They pass the bill. He has a lesser, he has a minority vote. The majority of them are those in the north. They have carried their bill and passed it. Because they can only secure the one Nigeria under Islamization agenda, under Islam, under Sharia law. That is only how they can. Please, 1 minute, my people. 1 minute, people. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Sorry about that. That is the only way out for them. Because the agenda to Islamize you has been delayed. You know, the agenda to Islamize you is being delayed. You using your hand to delay the agenda to Biafra to become a full nation. And you are all mindset. How you are doing, oh, if Biafra cannot come from Mazin and the Kano, let Biafra not come again. If the Biafra is not from Simon, let Biafra not come again. If the Biafra is not coming from DOS, it cannot come. It's not from IPOB, it cannot come. All these things are delay method. The same way we are delaying their movement for Islamization. Why did you, when you are doubting this bill, it has happened up to 5 countries in Africa. This is where they started. The public to prove that you are under Islam is by banning preaching inside bus and bus stop. Nigeria has passed that bill on Thursday last week. The bill has been passed. And they are working towards the bill. There is nothing your noise, your standard can do. You can only rant and shout. Their own will be in constitution. Go and check Nigeria law. Nothing concerning Christianity in Nigeria law from day 1 till today. You are in the church doing you are doing their typing, putting it in the law for them and their unborn children, and how they would Islamize you. And they're not speaking in tongue in church, deceiving yourself. And now that you have only one option for you to be free, instead of you to recognize the new Christian nation, fully United States of Biafra, as the new full Christian nation, that's where you are going to be free to do what? Where you are going to be free to worship what you believe, and nobody will question you. Nobody will torture you. Nobody will stop you. And what happened? You refuse to listen. You refuse to pay attention to things that matter so much at this stage that we are into. Why we must embrace our nation, the new redeclared Christian country, instead of you to embrace it and dive with all your heart, you'll start messing up. The only thing you can do is to abuse the government, insult generation. You think that you are this government. Let me tell you, you are not insulting USB. Rather, you are insulting yourself. Remark my voice said, you are digging your grave. Said what? You are digging what? Your grave. If you continue insulting USB declared, the only hope you have, the only option you have. That is why I'm here to tell you that your insult on USB declared is digging your grave. You are sabotage against this new Christian country. You are digging your grave. Islam is what you want to embrace. The only option to end Islam is by fully recognition of United States of Biafra as a sovereign nation. Remember that everyone that is being fired today in Nigeria is because of what? Islam. The agenda of Islamization. Exactly the 5 countries I am going to dish out to you how they turned to Islam and the numbers of the Christians that was being fired or being killed. These are the areas I want to understand. You undermining this is going to end you up under Islamization. It's so that USB is already here. Your own country is already here to serve you. That is only why, after everything, you will see a way out. Remember, whatever that you are doing today with the name IPOB, I ask you, go and check history. There is no country in this world that lost their country that ever get recognition as a country with enough organization without a peaceful redeclaration of the lost country. You can never see recognition. You must redeclare it back. And that is when the criteria of a government in exile appear on the notes. And the only government in exile you have is a government in exile that issue official, formally, original, peaceful redeclaration of a lost country. I will refer you to some countries. In Africa, check South Africa. Under Nelson Mandela, that end apartheid regime was redeclared. Check Ethiopia. In Africa, it was being redeclared after they have lost their country. Now, check many countries in Africa that redeclare it. Now, when you leave them, go to Europe and ask, how many countries, go to Google and ask Google or Chrome, how many countries lost their country? That the only way that they achieve their country back is 1, transition into government in exile. Number 2, issue a peaceful declaration. Number 3, achieve recognition. Type it on the Google, on Chrome. You can find it by yourself. So that is where we push you, make you to understand that without a peaceful redeclaration by a government in exile, and after the peaceful redeclaration, the government in exile will stand on a name of a country with a full government structure to achieve international recognition. This is how it goes. So, I sincerely want you to rethink what you are doing and what you are saying. If you know that you really want Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told all of us that what he wants is Biafra as a country. That's why I'm asking you, do you really want Biafra as a country? If you don't want Biafra if you want Biafra as a country, let me say this first. If you don't want Biafra as a country, continue being IPOB and hoping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to come out and hoping that Israel will just do miracle with the only thing that will make Israel recognize Biafra is this our document of peaceful declaration. You might be ignorance of our peaceful declaration. You might be under this ignorance of your stupidity. of you declared, and you think what you are doing is yielding result. When he landed to pronounce you as a country, when Israel pronounced Somaliland as a country, go and check background of quality what Somaliland has before Israel. We pronounce them or give recognition December 25, 2025. Go and check history. If Somaliland is organization, or if Somaliland is coming to get recognition, no. You must be a country, acting as a country. Even though you are in exile, I have proved to you that Somaliland, Israel recognition also was in was an island. It was in exile also. But before Israel recognized them, many countries in Africa has already recognized Somaliland as a nation. What they are looking for is anybody who is a member of United Nations or in that category to recognize them. And the first country ever that grant recognition in that level of United Nation side is only Israel. I want to tell you this. If you want Biafra as a country, like Maazị Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpanjoko, the only way out for you or for me is what? Embracing United States of Biafra Declaration through Dr. Ngozi Orabeze and all the cabinet members that are fighting for us to achieve Biafra as a country. Whatsoever that you are doing against this, as I'm talking to you, you are bringing doom and Islamization to your family. But if you are embraced, support this new Christian nation, for us to achieve recognition, you are on the right track, and Islamization will never come near you. Because no that is why I'm calling on you from today to stop, to support USB declared. I will ask you, if you're watching me, please, if you never like the program, I urge you to like, hit the like button, subscribe on our page. That is the only way you are helping the message. If you know you love the message, the only way to prove that, if you want to support this page, is when you like this program, share it to any contact you have, both on your Facebook, on your TikTok, on anywhere you can share the program, please, on S handle. Please, I urge you to share and like. You know, people may see you and disregard the message you are passing, but at last, the message will be a very vital one. I want to ask you as a Biafran, do you want Biafra as an organization or a Biafra as a country? If you want Biafra as a country, what are the criteria for you to be a country? Is the question. I also want to remind you that Chukwuemeka Ojukwu stand as a country, fighting as a country, before he achieved recognition from 5 countries. He never declared Biafra as a country and hold on, stop fighting until the world or some countries recognizes him before he kick on. But rather, he start fighting with the name of a country, Republic of Biafra, and use the name Republic of Biafra to achieve international recognition. You must stand as a country before you can, and before other or every other countries in the world recognize you. These are the areas I want you to be thinking as we are proceeding. Remember that is only USB declared have the power to stop the Islamization that is going on at this stage that we are into. Remember my word and mark my words. Is only recognition of USB as a full nation that will stop the agenda of Islamization, the conquest that is looming everywhere. Do not think that those who is fighting is just a mere fight. No. It's all about Islamization of indigenous people who are Christians is the main goal and the target of the Islamization. Like I said, I am going to prove to you this evening some countries in Africa who was Christians from the beginning, but at last they all today become passed through Islam, and Islamization has shoved them off. They are no longer Christian countries, rather they are all Arab and Muslim nations. So whatever you're going to hear today, honestly, I want you to hold it very tight. Grab it, share the message to everyone to understand clearly what Nigeria has passed. The bill of no preaching inside bus or even pray open inside bus or on the bus stop, that bill is evidence to prove that Nigeria has already been under Islamization. If that wasn't enough for you, I sincerely also want you to look at it this way. They did not, I said what? They did not block their own people that praise on block road and praying on the road. They did not block the people that praise inside football field, but they stop you from praying when you are traveling on the bus or outside the bus stop. They said no to you. And if you dare, 6 months and 50,000 fine is waiting for you. On that note, I want to take you straight to today's program. So as you listen to what I'm going to play out, from there, we will move into the program fully. So, dear friends, please like and share the program if you can, please. And a comment, because your comment is making YouTube, is doing YouTube to uplift the message, the platform up.
The transformation of Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, from the historic Greek-speaking Christian heartland of the Byzantine Empire into a predominantly Muslim Turkish nation took place over nearly 1,000 years. During this long transition, millions of Christians lost their lives through two distinct historical phases: medieval conquest and modern ethnic cleansing/genocide. Historians categorize the deaths of Christians in this region into these major historical events. 1. The medieval conquests, 11th–15th centuries. When Turkic tribes first entered Anatolia in the 1000s, it set off centuries of continuous warfare, sieges and raids. The Siege of Constantinople, 1453. When the Ottoman Empire under Sultan Mehmed II finally breached the walls of Constantinople, the last capital of the Byzantine Empire fell. During the final battle and the 3 days of looting that followed, an estimated 4,000 to 5,000 Christian defenders and civilians were killed, while roughly 50,000 Christians were captured and sold into slavery. Centuries of border wars. Hundreds of thousands of Greek, Byzantine, Armenian, and Georgian Christians died in battles, raids, and sieges during the gradual collapse of Byzantine control across Anatolia. 2. The late Ottoman massacres, 1894 to 1896. As the Ottoman Empire began to collapse in the late 19th century, Christian minority populations, particularly Armenians, began pushing for civil rights and protection. The Ottoman state reacted with massive violence. The Hamidian massacres, under Ottoman Sultan Abdul Hamid II, state-sponsored militias and mobs carried out widespread slaughters. The death toll historians estimate that between 100,000 and 300,000 Christian Armenians were killed during this two-year period alone. 3. The genocides of World War I, 1914 to 1923. The most devastating loss of Christian life in Anatolia occurred during the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the rise of the modern Turkish Republic. To create a simplified Turkic nation, the ruling Young Turk regime systematically targeted all indigenous Christian populations. Targeted Christian group, estimated deaths, methods of destruction, Armenian Christians, 1 million to 1.5 million. Elite executions, forced death marches into the Syrian desert without food or water, concentration camps and systemic massacres. Greek Orthodox Christians, 300,000 to 750,000. Execution of able-bodied men, deportation of families from the Black Sea, Pontus region, forced labor battalions and village burnings. Assyrian Syriac Christians, 150,000 to 250,000. Targeted village massacres in southeastern Anatolia, starvation and physical extermination. Summary of the World War I era. Between 1914 and 1923, approximately 2 million to 2.5 million indigenous Christians, Armenians, Greeks, and Assyrians were systematically killed in Anatolia. This campaign effectively wiped out over 2,000 years of Christian civilization in the region, reducing the Christian population from nearly 20% of the area's population down to less than 1%. The forced exchanges and exiles, for those who survived the killings, their presence in Anatolia was permanently ended through forced relocations. The 1923 population exchange, following the war, Greece and the newly formed Republic of Turkey signed an agreement. Nearly 1.2 million Greek Orthodox Christians who had lived in Anatolia for generations were stripped of their citizenship and forcibly exiled to Greece, while Muslims in Greece were sent to Turkey. This tragic, bloody history explains how Anatolia, the ancient home of major Christian landmarks, the Nicene Creed, and early church theologians, was transformed into a nearly entirely Muslim country.
I hope you are hearing these numbers. These numbers are numbers of Christians that their country was being, they are a Christian, and the Islamization of conquest take over. And you had it here that over 1.2 million was stripped off their citizenship to by force them to accept Islamization. And it happens to them. Over 2 million Christians, or 2 to 2.5 million Christians of indigenous Christians was being massacred. There was being died because of what? Islam. What I'm telling you happened in Syria. It happens in Greek. It happens in Turkey and many of them, even Algeria in Africa. Do you know that Egypt was one of the highest Christian countries in the CE? And today, where do they belong? Into Arab world. You know that Algeria was a Christian country. Where are they today? They are under Islamic country. You know, it's not going to happen. It has happened. Look at over 5 million was being massacred because they refused to accept Islam. They sit by them, take over their territory. Those who refused to accept, over 300 run into exile, remain in exile, and died in exile, never to come back. Those that was being died under the violence of the Islam, nobody talk about them. And they are being massacred, chased away from their home. Today, as I'm talking to you, on Thursday openly to prove to you that Nigeria is one of the Arab or Islam country that's controlled under Sharia law. They have made it open that you, as a Christian, will not pray or preach inside bus while traveling. You cannot also pray on the bus stop before traveling. There is evidence of what? That you are under Sharia law. Sharia prohibits a Christian to preach. You are doubting it? I'm going to prove to you this evening 5 countries in Africa where this has happened. And today, they are all under Islamization. They are all under Sharia law. They are all under Arab country. I want to prove to you these things so you can understand what we are facing if you are fighting against a peaceful redeclaration of United States of Biafra. The only hope to end Islamization in this 21st century, the first step to make it openly that you are under Sharia law, was that bill that was passed by the Senate House Thursday last week. Remind me the date of Thursday last week. Today is 20th, being Monday. Please remind me date of Thursday. Thursday, Nigeria has passed bill. If you are doubting it, go to Punch paper. Go to any paper in Nigeria, Sun, and all of them. They have published it that you are not allowed as a Christian to preach while traveling. That you are not allowed also to do what? You are not allowed also to preach on the bus stop. And look at it. And that's why I told you that is phase 1 of open proving that you are under Sharia law. Thank you for confirming, brother from Lagos State. We are not here to run propaganda. We are here to give you evidence of all that I want you to know, so you can quickly support the nation, the new Christian nation. You must also start addressing you declared as the what? As the new Christian nation that was redeclared with a name, United States of Biafra. So I want to prove to you, I have given you a total number that was being massacred, that was being buried, those that chased away. Days of the looting that followed, and entertainment, 4,000 to 5,000 Christians that are defending those who in all these countries I'm going to mention, up to each of them lost over 4,000 of their military. They call them the security that try to defend the indigenous Christian in all these countries. That over 5,000 to 5,000 Christians defending, and the civilians was killed. Over each any of these countries I'm going to mention today, over 4,000 to 5,000 military or security that want to protect their own people, all of them was being buried. That is why if anybody in the north try to defend himself against these people, in terms of security, the government will put you life imprisonment or sentence you by hanging, like the one that was sentenced already in Nigeria. Do you see? You hear today that Nigeria from the 1904, believe under the Sharia law and living under the Sharia law. Let's go to program, please. As you join me, the only thing I want to do is to like and share, so you can invite other people to come and join us, please. If you never do so, I want you to endeavor to do that, please. That's all you can do for me. The page is not monetized either, so there's not like super chat. Only you are like, and the like is not everything from your hand. If you love the message, if you want Biafrans to hear, or other people to, those who claim one Nigeria to hear, hit the like button. If your first time watching me, you might be seeing me on your phone, where on the stream that I am straight. Look on that your stream, you will see a three dots on your stream. Touch on that three dot, it will open. You will see like, you will see share. Please do something. When you see something, you do something. Let's go to program fully so you can follow and understand what has happened and what we need to do at this time that we are into. Now, let us start from what are the full criteria of Islam or into a country to become a Muslim country, the criteria, the laws, the how they do their own. Listen to this.
Under classical Islamic law and historical treaties, Christians were generally not explicitly forced to convert to Islam by the state, as mainstream Islamic law recognized them as people of the book. Instead, they were placed under a legal framework called the dhimmi system. However, this system imposed severe social, financial, and religious pressures designed to ensure that the public sphere was exclusively Islamic and to encourage gradual conversion over generations. The full legal criteria and restrictions historically used to control Christians, including the exact historical equivalent of banning preaching inside public transit hubs like bus stations or roads, were codified in a foundational document known as the Pact of Umar. The rules voiding protection, the criteria for punishment. Under the Pact of Umar, Christians were given a covenant of protection, dhimma. If a Christian violated specific rules, their protected status was completely stripped, rendering them subject to execution, enslavement, or forced expulsion. The absolute boundaries included the public preaching ban, declaring Christian beliefs publicly, trying to convert a Muslim, or speaking against the Prophet Muhammad, aiding enemies, sheltering spies, or acting against the Muslim state, striking a Muslim, physically hitting or harming a Muslim citizen, banning preaching on roads and fairways, the bus stop equivalent. While modern buses and bus stops did not exist in the 7th through 19th centuries, the law explicitly banned preaching and displaying Christianity in the historical exact equivalents, public roads, thoroughfares, and marketplaces. The text of the Pact of Umar states the rules for public transit spaces, word for word. We shall not manifest our religion publicly, nor convert anyone to it. We shall not display our crosses or our books in the roads or markets of the Muslims. We shall not raise our voices in prayer or funerals in the fairways of Muslims or their markets. Under these laws, sitting at a city gate, a caravan stop, a crossroads, or a marketplace, where people waited for travel and transit, and preaching or displaying a Bible would result in the immediate forfeiture of legal protection, often resulting in death for the preacher. The systemic pressures imposed on Christians to ensure Islam remained dominant and to structurally incentivize Christians to convert, the law mandated several strict boundaries. 1. Financial pressure, the jizya tax. Christians were required to pay a special mandatory poll tax called the jizya. For poor families or during economic hardships, the inability to pay this tax could result in imprisonment or the loss of their children into servitude, making conversion to Islam the only financial escape. 2. Total ban on religious expansion. Christians were forbidden from building new churches, monasteries, or chapels. They were legally prohibited from repairing existing churches if they fell into ruin. They could not prevent any of their own family members or children from converting to Islam if they wished to do so. 3. Social and legal humiliation. To remind non-Muslims of their secondary status, the laws dictated everyday behavior. Dress codes. Christians had to wear distinct clothing, like the zuna belt, and cut the front of their hair to visually distinguish themselves from Muslims. Public deference. Christians were legally required to stand up and give up their seats if a Muslim wanted to sit down. Transit restrictions. They were forbidden from riding horses or camels, using saddles, or carrying any weapons. They could only ride donkeys sideways. Subservient architecture. Christian homes could never be built higher than the homes of their Muslim neighbors. Summary of the strategy. Rather than rounding up everyone for forced conversions, the legal strategy was to completely erase Christianity from the public eye. By banning preaching at transit hubs and roads, stopping church repairs, taxing their livelihoods, and enforcing social degradation, the system made practicing Christianity so difficult and restrictive over the centuries that massive segments of the population eventually converted to Islam to obtain equal rights.
I don't know whether you are listening with me. I don't really know whether you are paying attention and you are here with me fully. Because if you are listening and paying attention and also thinking about what we are hearing, you now understand what is happening and what is going on and where you are. If you are inside or living outside this thing called Nigeria, that simply means a death sentence to every indigenous person. I want you to know what has passed on you. And you will be there shouting, "Oh man, it's not possible. And this is a secular law." And they have proved it to you. They passed the bill. It's not, they don't do church. They plan it, execute their plan. Now, could you see why you first massacre? Do you see the word? The word see why there's genocide. The silence of Israel, the silence of America, and every Christian country in the world, you are silent is that you want to lose another Christian nation again. And they know that they are always that they must conquer through by force, through by implementing laws that is against Christians. And when violence comes, they feel like they are the one who have the monopoly of violence more than any other human being. That is what we are seeing in Nigeria. It's not about insecurity. What is happening in Nigeria is not insecurity. It is a well-planned movement. And in 2026, they passed the bill as pure evidence to intimidate you, to bring you down, to not to hear about you again, to stop talking about Christians openly, to draw attention of your people, to remind them. And what happened? They just passed the bill on Thursday that you dare not preach outside bus stop. If you preach, 6 months imprisonment. That wasn't enough. If you preach inside bus or pray inside bus openly, 6 months in prison. And what? 50,000. And who are those who preach in the bus stop? Who are those who pray in the inside bus when we are traveling? You know the Christians? Are you a Christian? And the Osignanti car, now I'm saying it, Osignanti car, Osinanka or he enters from here, goes out from here, or he enters from the right, goes out from the left side of it. I am asking you, do you know that many countries in Africa was once a Muslim, and such a bill that we are hearing here was passed on them? Until today, they are no longer Christian country anymore. So I want you to be start asking yourself a question. Why you are hurt on the legal Christian nation, United States of Biafra? Those that are passing this bill are proving to you that you did not belong here. Why that the bill is real? In the number of their Senate houses, in the number of their Senate house, in the number of everything, they outlined you. Muslims that are in the Senate house outline Christians in the Senate house. All these things is a well-planned how to put you, whether you like it or not, Islam. The pastors don't have their mindset of their own. But that thing they're afraid of is coming to eat them. I want to tell you let me tell you today, today is 20. The next bill is that you can never hold crusade outside or put a microphone that is very loud from the church. This is the next two bills that have already been put on table, waiting for it to be passed. is one step to another step. They are using their repeated Boko Haram military to burn our houses and kill our people. Now they enact the law, and also proving what is in their mind and what they have for you. Those pastors in Nigeria, what you are running for. Moreover, many of these people in Nigeria call themselves Christian. They have already put their hand. They already agree that's what they have already be agreed, accepted Islam. Any top politician you see in Nigeria, any top bishop, reverend father, governors, board congress, they have all already accepted Islam, and you know, because of this Islam that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu preach is the main reason why they send him to Sokoto prison, because that is the father of Islam and Osman Dan Fodio. I want you to listen again, because we are going to analyze it and also give link to Biafrans who want to join us quickly. So now I want to give you 5 countries in Africa that implemented this law, and from the origin of Nigeria, where Nigeria belongs. Listen, history is repeating. The full step of Islamization process is where Nigeria enter fully in your eyes. And the only thing you do is to attack our new Christian nation that need to serve all of you. I will not ask you to stop, continue, because your attack will not stop recognition, whether they like it or not. Listen.
When examining countries in Africa that transitioned from historic Christian majorities or multi-religious societies to Islamic rule, and where the legal framework strictly bans public preaching, like at a bus stop, and has historically resulted in the mass killing of Christians, the list shifts strictly to regions impacted by severe. In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition. Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom, with the Coptic Christian Church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim-majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching. Under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion. Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historically part of the heavily Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching. Modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression. Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity outside the privacy of the small foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan, the transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests but eventually collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims. Even amid changing regimes and legal shifts, preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5. Niger, the transition. While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
Is it clear to you? We are not here for saga. Like I tell you, this page is not for to discuss about the Rama and I see Amaka Jere, all the DOS and all of them. No, that is not what I'm here to do. That is not what Chukwu Okebumi, that is not the message Chukwu Okebumi is giving me. He's giving me another different message. And I am here to deliver the message. Even if it is 10 people alone, I will deliver the message. When you listen to this, now, number one thing that I really wanted to be in your mindset is this. All of them today are what? Muslim country or Sharia law countries. True or false? 5 of them was a Christian nation. 5 of them was a full-strength Christian nation. And what happens? The transition started. The people start losing their lives. The people start buying them. They start banning first. When it's come to prayer, Muslims has the most highest speaker on the wall that can raise noise outside, even to remind their people that time has come. I did not say that there is no good Muslim. No, there is a good Muslim. There is. But the way of some of them, like the one in those that Nigeria believe for needs, that it must be under buying people, like many of this country, people was being buyed. People was what? Being buyed enough. When you look at what they are doing, what is happening, and where Nigeria has dragged all of you into today, where Nigeria has passed bill that all these 5 countries was being passed, proving to you this is not your country. It does not belong here. And the only thing you can do is to refuse and be begging them to stay. As they say that you are begging them to stay, they are knocking laws to prove to you, you does not belong here. Get out of here. You refuse. Instead of you to embrace your own country, that's true under the law, that USB is only a nation under the redeclared that are waiting for recognition. But they said you must be a state in waiting for recognition. You will not first achieve recognition before you answer the name of a country. No, you will be acting as a country. They will see how you're managing the affairs of what is happening around you, even though you're under pressure. And that is what the triggers recognition. We handle it very well and prove that this is a country, not organization. Let's listen for a second time again. As I'm playing, I will be pausing it and analyzing this.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking...
I hope you're listening. In Northern Africa, part of the Sahel, several regions that has a strong Christian root of majority during the Roman and the transition into Muslim majority recognition following the Islam expansion from the 7th century onward. These countries you are going to hear, or you're hearing already, they are all Christian countries. Do you know that before that Egypt was a Christian nation? Do you know that? I never knew. Do you also know that before that a country like Algeria was a Christian country? I never knew until now. I thought they were just from day one. Do you know that Libya was a Christian country? Do you know that? Do you also know that Sudan was a Christian country? You know that? What of Niger? That Niger was a Christian country. These 5 in Africa, you know about them. Don't you know about these 5 countries I mentioned here? Do you know about these 5 countries I mentioned here? If you know anyone, type yes. This is one I know. Are we ever hearing that those ones I mentioned here? We have here what? We have Egypt. We have Algeria. We have Libya. We have Sudan. And we have Niger. That do you know that before that these 5 was a Christian country fully? Do you know? Please, I urge you to like and share if you wish to do so. Now let's continue. If you are looking for modern example in Africa where public preaching or personalizing, such as a bus stop, secret corner, or public marketplace, is restrained, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework of Islam, here are 5 key countries. 5 key countries that there was a full Christians, but the thing that has happened leads that they are all being restricted. Look at it. They first start to look at the world. If you are looking for a modern day example in Africa where public preaching to prove that you are under Islamic law, those who have their country decide how their country will be governed. You that are coming to challenge them that Nigeria is a secular state, Nigeria is this and that. Why do that own this country is here, proving to you that this is our country, does not belong here. And you are by forcing yourself for them to accept you. Even though that you are forcing them to accept, they still say no by enacting law of what? The first law that they will enact openly for you, pass as a bill, is what? The law of public preaching, as such as bus stop, street corners, or public marketplace. You know, Nigeria has never announced about public marketplace. I hope you know that. I hope you know. The next agenda, the next bill, or the next announcement you will hear in your 2 crow eyes is that they have banned crusade. After this, remember that these 5 countries, they was forced to ban preaching openly. After that, they banned crusade. After that, they banned going to market and preaching, and all of them follows. And Nigeria has proven the first step. That is no yielding anything in your mindset. Your ear is blocked and you are doubting it. Continue doubting. Okay, Number 1, Egypt. The transition. You hear the word transition. When we tell you that if you want to get a country or you lost your country, you want a new one, that you must transition into exile, form a government in exile, issue official declaration asking for recognition in from the exile until the exile before you come back home, was one of the earliest contests of Christendom, when the cocktail Christian churches formerly the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several countries, through grand convection and social shift, it transitioned to Muslim majority nation. Now, was a country where you have majority of Christians, from gradually step of buying them, killing, because of by force killing them. Those alive run away to another person's country. They will be able to maneuver and suppress those and kill the number they will kill. When you hear about Egypt, Egypt buyed almost 2.5 Christians and chased 1.2 away from the territory, and they lost everything that belongs to them. They lost what? Everything that belongs to them. They lost even their own citizenship. They live as a tenant in their own country. You don't know. When we tell you that, look at what is happening. And today, Nigeria has passed the bill, proving to the world that this is our stand, though. You know what they're saying about secular law, and you can see all the killings. Their criteria is to conquer you by force. That is their criteria. Remember that Egypt was never a Muslim country, was what? A Christian nation. That is why it is very important that you pay attention and you listen. The ruling of the public preaching in modern Egypt, why the constitution granted freedom of belief, it is structurally illegal to prophesize or preach Christianity to the Muslim in public. But they can come to and preach to you in public. Why you as a Christian cannot come? They ban you that you cannot do that. Engaging in open A evangelism. Are you hearing it? Engaging in open A evangelism. That is why they ban you from the bus stop and they enter inside the bus. If they catches you, you believe in one Nigeria, that's what you usually declared. After this, they are coming to close the churches down. The pastors will cry. Their time will soon come. Do not panic, because everything must be accomplished. Why the Constitution grants freedom of belief, it is strictly illegally to personalize or preach Christians to Muslims in public, especially engaging in open A evangelism at a public square or hobby like bus stop, while entering to get an individual arrested. Why? Sorry about that. At an open square or tight hobby like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrest for indicating security, set fire, or they'll buy you. Are you hearing it? I hope you're listening to it. This is Egypt. That was formerly a full Christian nation. At last, it's no longer a full Christian nation. Now it becomes a Muslim nation. And where they give you law, what you will do and what you will not be able to do. Based on that, that is why we are here to let you to know that Nigeria has proved it otherwise, that we are not Christians, that we are full Christian nation. that they did not start today. Now they have started going through legal for it. Now they have started going through legal for it by enacting the law. You had it here. That's what you had it pop and plain here. That a country like Egypt passed the same bill against Christians who preach openly, against Christians who pray openly. No praying inside the market. I told you that the next step is to ban preaching from crusade. The next one is to ban churches putting their mic, and the mic will come outside when you are in church. Continuously doubting usually declared, continuously doubting United States of Biafra. Continue, do not stop. Because at this stage we are into, whether I like it or not, the truth must prevail. You see, what matters most at this stage does not matter to our people. What matters to us is rubbish that do social media. What matters is how the governments are giving you for us to be attacking ourselves while they are busy passing law. They create a news for you. Oh, from Neka Chimezie to DOS to USB to Ndinka Ozo, the other one side to end. Again, Amazon Khan has related another set of Amazon Khan has set another set of DOS. Ndị nke atụsị na fa bụ ndị brigi, ndị agwaga na fa bụ ndị RCC, ndị ga ha bụ nwaanyị isi ọcha. A na-epreach ya why things are spoiled instead of for us to help USB to destroy them. And what you will do for us to attack ourselves, be on a dot, just discussing ourselves, our internal matter that could not yield any result, is where you will see our people focus on it. But things happening. I ask you, do you know that Egypt was a Muslim country from day one? So do you know that Egypt was once a Christian nation? Do you know that Egypt was a full supporting Christian country in Africa? Full option of Christian. But today, when they transition to Muslim, what happened? They passed bill. The same bill as Nigeria passed their own bill in this 2026. Egypt passed their own bill. 1641 CE is when Egypt passed the bill that any Christian who preach outside will be arrested, sentenced to life imprisonment, or kill him because of what they said is blaspheming. And you are here. The history is full repeating. You continue talking about those who has nothing to offer us about Biafra. So the history is already repeating, not is about to, my brother. The history is already repeating. The first one, they have knocked the first law. Look at Egypt knocking this first law as number one first law. Don't preach outside. Don't do what? Preach outside. Don't preach on the bus stop. Don't preach inside bus. You will be arrested. Nigeria has passed that law. Nigeria passed this law Thursday last week. Like I said, date of Thursday was what? Today is 20th of July. So Thursday should be, Saturday should be, is it 19 or 20? Thursday should be, Thursday should be between, this is not 17. Please remind me, I forgot. Date of Thursday. Thursday last week. What is date of Thursday last week? I want you to help me to remind me. Date of Thursday last week. Date of Thursday last week. Please, I need the help on that. Because I want that date to be centered on your mind. Like when people of Egypt passed this law, 1641 CE. 641 CE is when Egypt passed their law that nobody should preach outside. that nobody should preach on bus stop. Nobody should preach inside bus. You don't come to preach you are Christian to any Muslim, but they will come to preach to you. I listened to that. Please remind me Thursday last week, what is the date? Because that is the date that Nigeria passes this bill. Nigeria is their country. If you are from all this region, you are not a Nigerian. Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria is not what your country. That is why I did not say that there is no Nigeria. No. For those who want to answer one Nigeria, they should go on. And when you want to one Nigeria, I ask you, stop attacking my own nation. Your nation, Nigeria, has proved to you that she doesn't want us. They enact their law. It's no longer a secular state from day one. This is just a male talk. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Jack Casey. Thank you. 16th of July, 2026. History has carried it that Nigeria has passed a bill that if you dare ever preach, if you dare ever pray openly inside bus, you will be arrested. That is the bill that Nigeria has passed. And the push law passed on the side of the Muslims, those who pray, who block roads and pray, those who block roads and pray, those who shut down field and pray openly. What law they passed on them? No law, because they are the owner of Nigeria. We are not one. We can never be.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim-majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition. Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom, with the Coptic Christian Church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim-majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching.
They will expand. They will preach, but you will not. Look at this, now number 2, Algeria. I hope you know about Algeria in Africa, Algeria. I hope you know about them. The transition in late acquitted North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christian and home to foundational Christians. They are what? They are home for Christians. They are what? Heavenly Christianized and the home of foundational Christians. Thinkers like Saint Augustine. Like what? Saint Augustine in Algeria. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim majority population following the Umayyad expansion. Now, you see, their own is expansion. Your own is preaching, and they ban you. Why they continue doing the expansion? You see the word. You see how corny it is. Honestly, this program I'm doing, if you understand, you may quickly rush and embrace USV declared. I am not saying that nobody is a Nigerian, that nobody should use Sharia law. For those who are Nigeria to use their Sharia law. But for me, I am a full Christian. I will never bow down to Sharia law. I hope you are listening. The bill has been passed already. Remember that Algeria was once what they said was a heavenly Christianized and the home of foundational Christians like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely, the same what's happening in Nigeria today, by killing of the people. Maybe after this one, when we're going to full exposition, I will give you numbers of Christians that was being buried in Egypt, in Algeria, any of these 5 countries. I am going to present you numbers of Christians that was being buried, and the Christians that they forgot their properties and their name, they run into exile. That's what they run into exile. They forgot their home till today. Because of what? They refuse to accept Islam. Please, I urge you to like the program. If you never like, please hit the like button, because once you hit the like button, another person on your notification will get the message and come and listen to us. Please. The ruling of the public preaching under Ordinance C 0603 Algeria is extremely criminalize any attempt to shake the faith of Muslim. Sorry, characterized words. Anything that can shake the faith of a Muslim. Is what? They block it and they say no to that. Or convert them to another religion. Those that are this Muslim that enact this law was once a Christian. And when they use their expectation or expression, what? They open their hand by killing the people, take over their house and their territory. After that, what will happen? They will now proving that they are the majority while you are the minority. Are we making common sense at all? I think, are we making common sense? Do you know we're making common sense what we are doing this evening? Please. When you look at it here again, on this issue of Algeria, non-Muslim worship is confident to be approved. Once you're not a Muslim, no other religion will be approved. Are you hearing it? Now, look at the punishment they are giving to the Christians. Any old house of Christians can never be rebuilt again. Preaching or disturbing or lecturing at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned, and the Christ a heavenly prison carries a heavenly prison sentence. In Algeria, in Africa, in Algeria, they said they built a very big Christian country. The reason that they have what? St. Augustine. St. Augustine in Algeria was what? A country, this is a Algeria, that's a nation that has St. Augustine. That's after they said they do their expulsion, that they expand. No, they said their own is that the Muslim is expanding. How are they expanding? By a gun and bullet, killing the indigenous who believe one person, 5 of them will start. When they use fear, grab 20. The 20 will help them to grab another 20 by fears. And this is how they do their own. They call it what? They are expanding. Why you will not preach? If you look at it here, that the Algeria banned public preaching, banned what? Bound when you build a house to do what? To rebuild the house or to renovate the house. You cannot renovate your house. And you cannot live in a Thai house that are more fancy, more fine, more than their own. No. They are the only one who will do that, live in industrial house, because you are infidel, you are unbeliever. Nigeria has passed this bill, 16th being Thursday, 2026. Nigeria has passed a bill that no Christian should preach openly, that no Christian should preach in the bus stop. You dare not pray inside bus openly if you enter bus. But for them, if you enter any of them their car, once it's time of their worship, they will put it and start their praying. If you may to stop making it, that they are praying. But for you, you won't open your mouth and say you are prayer. They will tell you are making noise. It's blaspheming. Through that, they will do what? Heavenly prison sentence is what Algeria did to Christians that are indigenous people of Algeria that was Christian. This is what they did to them. This is what they did to these people. The same thing, the same killing, the same buying, the same knocking law that was happened in Algeria and Egypt, that was a full Christian nations, is what is happening today in Nigeria. Nigeria has repeated that history and they has passed the bill on Thursday. It was well accepted. Now, after some days, you will start hearing how they arrested a pastor, kill you at an instant, how they arrested a preacher, kill that preacher at an instant. This is how they do their own. If they do not, they will sentence you, cut off your hand or one of your ear or one of your eyes because of what they call blaspheming. Remember, that boy has been died in Nigeria because of blaspheming. Remember that fine girl who did the Nigerian government murdered, killed her because they said she's blaspheming. Listen to that. Remember that. Now, I have give you it, Egypt, give you what? Algeria. Let's continue. 3, Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historical part of the heavily pressurized Roman mandatory before transition to Islam majority following the 7th century campaigns. Are you listening? Libya was a full Christian country. You had it here. There's a translation.
Under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion.
It.
Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya.
You had it here that any preaching openly on the bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and it carries a heavenly prison sentence. Nigeria said that their own will carry 6 months in prison with 50,000. As the days are going, they will uplift it for you. And the only thing you do is to attack your own Christian nation, United States of Biafra. Anybody who is attacking you, as we declared today, has accepted Islam. That's why they're attacking USB. But I want to tell you, USB is legal. What you are doing is illegality, and it is on a wrong path. Why USB is only the right path we have ever made after the 1967 war. The only first time we have come on a right track is on November 29, 2024, through our peaceful redeclaration by our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, That is the only way. There is no other way around. That is why we are proud to talk. That is why we talk about our own nation. But I am talking to you who is attacking this government. I am talking to you who is as still believe in one Nigeria. What will come in 2027 will shock you. Very close, nearby. Look at Libya in their own case. Look at Libya. They said here, before transitioning into an Islamic majority, following the 7th century campaigns, they do their own campaign and people comes, but your own for you to preach is blasphemy, and you're going to be sentenced to 6 months in Nigeria after you pay 50,000 fine. What is your problem? You are wallowing on ignorance and dancing on it and proving that you know something. Why you are ignorance will lead you to prison in Nigeria, because all of you who was against USB, that time you were a Christian and you are attacking, come out and preach. They will take you. But for we that have our own country, nobody will take us, nobody will do us anything. It is very imperative at this time that I want you to sincerely understand where we are and what is happening, why you must support USB right now.
It was historically part of the heavily Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching, modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression.
Are you hearing it? The rule of public preaching, modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religion expression. That is where Nigeria has proven that this is who we are. If you're a Christian, go and find your own country. They have knocked the law that govern their own country. And Nigeria, look at them and those who believe in the North and the Yorubas, prove that this is their nation. May so be it. May the nation call Nigeria for those who believe on it. May it work for them. But for you and I, who do not believe in that, we must come back to redeem, join us, that we have through our resurrection and redeem who we are. When are you going to redeem who you are? Is my question to you. When are you going to redeem who you are? You that are still claiming Nigeria till today, Peter Obi and all of them. Peter, what is your comment about this bill that has been passed? They are not waiting for you. They are not there for you. But I want you to know one thing. Anything that you do, the karma will surely come. Anything that you do, the karma will come back. And what is the karma? Now you're fighting USB. Remain under your one Nigeria and you will be in prison. The time will come when you run away from Nigeria and you run to another country. We will seek asylum. Because in USB, many of you have already sold their birthright with your betrayer. They have bought it over from you. So continue doing that. Do not stop. But what we ask you, allow us, please. Hold your one Nigeria. We hold our University of Biafra as our own country.
Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity out.
Listen, proselytizing to Muslim is completely illegal. When you are preaching to Muslim for them to repent and join you in their Christianity, it's a haram. But when they are preaching to you for you to join them, it is their right and it is illegal and it's legal on their own part.
Outside the privacy of the small foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan.
I hope you listen to this number 3. The same words. When this one knock their law, another one will follow suit. Another one will go, oh, how is how brother do it? They will do it the same way the brother knock their own law. As we are hearing from Egypt down to this number 3, Libya, Is it not the same thing that we are hearing? I'm asking you, please, is it not the same what Egypt did by banning, sentence to long life, to life imprisonment, you pay money or this and that? It's not the same thing that you're hearing from all of them. But it's only in Biafra movement. It's only in Biafra movement that we should not look how other countries achieve their own and achieve our own the same method. Oh, of course, it's peculiar. Peculiar indeed. Peculiar my food. It's not about big grammar. This is about the reality. This is about the criteria. This is about this is what's supposed to be done that we have never done until 29th November 2024, that we have issued a peaceful redeclaration of our lost country. That's the pure truth. Whether like it or not. Whether you like it or not. I am not to romance you. If Nigeria can pass such a bill, like the way Egypt, that was a full Christian country, like the way Algeria, that was a full Christian country, like the way Libya, that was a full Christian country, that today that has passed this bill, and all of them, these three so far, have given out to you, you can see that the first movement of the criteria proving fully that you are in charge as a Muslim country is when you ban preaching outside, preaching in the bus stop, praying inside bus, and enacting the law of how many months or years in prison. Nigeria has announced 1 year, which is 6 months for you, with 50,000. You see why we are telling you that the only hope, that the only option we have is through our own nation, United States of Biafra, as the only option we have for us to run out of this Islamization. If not for that, if Egypt later becomes a Muslim country, think twice. If Egypt later become a Muslim country, if Algeria, that is a full Christian country, later at last become minority and they become a full Muslim or full Islam country, think twice. If it happen to Libya, they are coming. Their own is to enact law. Are you enacting any law? You are in the church now speaking in tongue. Man, a fraud and Nigeria is Islamic nation. The time has come. Ịmara asụ, ịsụọ n'ala, ị ga-ama asụ, sụọ ya n'ụkwụ gị. The time has come for everyone to raise their voice, and there is no voice you are raising. The only voice is to embrace your own nation. The new Christian country that was redeclared on November 29, 2024 is the only option. There is no other option for you again.
And the transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests, but eventually...
Are you hearing it? They was resisted earlier conquest, like what is happening in Nigeria today. In Enugu State, you heard about them, and their video is on air, which I have shown some videos sometime. The video of those who claim now they are Muslim, that accepted Sharia. They're going to the Enugu State. From one state to another state, the highest mosque in Biafra land is in Ebonyi State. The number of people that are coming out to claim that they are Muslim today in Old Eastern region is well alarming in Biafra, but we know we have only 3 laws. We have only three religions being recognized in Biafran law. What is that? The Christian, Judaism, and the Omenana. These are 3 that was being recognized. You see that those who own Nigeria is passing their bill. Those who own Nigeria is trying to prove to you that from the 1804 that they already know that Nigeria is an Islam country, it's a Muslim country. Don't be deceived by all these pastors. Because what is to come in? They might run away from you. you will fight alone. That is why I'm calling on you to remember that you have a nation that was really declared on November the 20th, 2024. Please, as we are summary because of my time, I want to have to go. Please, I'm going. I want you, if you want to join me, you can. The transition from the culture during the modern ages, the Duba kingdom of the modern day Sudan were officially Christian. This kingdom, likely Notaban, Mukara, and Alidra, resist earlier conquest, but eventually collapsed. And the transition to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration trend and the political changes. That is what Nigeria did. The political changes in Nigeria is another mind-blowing. President, Muslim, vice, Muslim. Check every higher position is all about Muslim. They are in charge. This is how they conquered Sudan. They first been positioning themselves in every vital position. Today in Nigeria, in military, they are in charge. In police, they are in charge. In local security, they are in charge. Any security apparatus in Nigeria, they are in charge. Now they would have taken over that one and secure it by themselves. They started president and vice president. You see what happened time of Tunumbu is about to happen again. There's nothing you can do about it because it's not your country. They use the law to knock their country. There's nothing you can do. This is their country. This is what they believe. And they are proving it to the world. There's nothing you can do. Nigeria is under Islamic country as one of Islam or Muslim country in the world. Take it or you leave it. Take it or what? Or you leave it. They made the changes, and it has worked for them. Let me tell you, when I was in Nigeria, I arrested one very bad boy from Fulani, handed them over to police. Policeman in my jurisdiction is a Fulani man. He allowed him to go. Whenever I arrested them, they go free, because that is why they position them there. But when they kill Christians, what happened to them? They will forgive.
It collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims. Even amid changing regimes and legal shifts, preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5.
Are you hearing it? Are you hearing it? Nigeria has proved to, you see how they prove that they are under Sharia law. You see how they prove that they are into a full Muslim nation. They will pass the bill, they will enact the law, the constitution will carry it, and from there, in Nigeria, they have taken every vital position. There is no Igbo man, there is no Christian man in any vital position, unless they want to use you, like the way they're using Bianco. No. They will dump her in due time. If they have accepted Islam. Sudan has historical monitored right rule against police of what? Of by any non-Christian trying to do what? Trying to preach. They banned all this and that you should never do that. But they can do it on their own. I said what? They can do it on their own side. That is why I want you to understand one thing, that in this world that we are living to, they are the one governing and ruling Nigeria. Nigeria is their country. We are begging you to come and embrace your country, and we are denouncing it from your side. Nigeria has no particular reason, unless as the law has, this bill has been passed on 16th, Thursday, 16th of July 2024. They have passed this bill. There's nothing you can do, as we are going to number 5.
The transition While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African
Niger,
religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
I hope you listen to this session 1 of this program. Nigeria has proved to you that is dragging it, that is praising one Nigeria, that are champion for one Nigeria, that I am not a Christian country. I am a Muslim country. That is what Nigeria is going to prove to you by passing the bill on Thursday, 16th of July, 2026. And look at these 5 countries. If you follow the program from the beginning, these 5 countries, did they not ban preaching outside? Did they not ban praying outside? Did they not? I hope you had it clearly. I will play it again. Please, there is a link you want to join because this program was just maximum 2 hours because of my time that I have to leave.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim-majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition. Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom.
I never knew since I was born that Egypt was a Christian country. I never knew. I thought that Egypt is a core Muslim country. I thought. But listen, 5 of them, what happened? And the year they implemented their law, like Nigeria has implemented their own law, proving that you dare not preach outside, you do not pray in open place, but they have the right to pray because of what? They are the owners of Nigeria. You don't have right to preach, but they have right to preach. Let me tell you, there is criteria how they move. Number 1 step is what? First, they will pass a bill or enact a law that non-believer like you who claim you're a Christian, that you should never preach in open place, in the bus stop. When you enter inside bus stop, as the bus is moving, that where people normally pray, you do not pray. If it comes out and they pick up your number of the bus you enter, you will be arrested, sentenced to 6 months imprisonment with 50,000 fine. Look at how Egypt, like I said, except under research, I never knew that Egypt is a Christian country from the beginning. Look at 5 countries in Africa that you know very well today. They are in the beginning, they are Christian country. Today, they are Muslim country.
Christian church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim-majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching. Under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion. Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historically part of the heavily Christian.
Remember this word, like its neighbors. Who are the neighbors? The neighbors are Egypt. Algeria is their neighbor that has nagged the law. And they follow the example how Egypt and Algeria nag the law and treat those who are Christians in their own nation. And they run away. They did what? They all flew away. And when we are here calling you, come back and accept your country, sorrow in a way that you are not a Nigerian. You said no. In a feast, one Nigeria, Peter Obi. Now, they have nagged the law. What happened? Now, what happened? All of you who name is under one Nigeria, what happened? Your governors believe under Sharia law. All your Southeast governors, all your senators, all of them believe they have accepted Sharia law before they have their position.
Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching, modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression. Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity outside the privacy of the small foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan, the transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests but eventually collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims. Even amid changing regimes and legal shifts, preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5. Niger. The transition. While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
Yes. He had a school of Nigeria own. And God help us, we be there. Is where they will come in and take over. Now, if they buy anyone in the church, they will not see it as a massacre or genocide anymore because they pass a bill. Do not go to church and preach. Preach in your house. And the numbers of those that was being bought, are there no those in their houses, inside their houses? Is it not those inside their house that was being bought? Let me ask you, is it not this number that in their houses was being bought? I want us to understand clearly. I want you to look at this. The time that we are into, like it or not, if you're in US already declared, just be happy and have a sure mind that we are on a legal path and we are on a right track. That is the areas I want you to look at what is going on. It's not about how I feel. It's about what's going on. Nigeria has passed the bill. Give you an excuse why they'll pass the bill. That is because of insecurity. And let me ask you this question. Do you follow me here on this program or the reading or under this research that is all about conquest? It's all about what? It's all about conquest. It's not about what they are telling you. It's not about that shenanigan that you are hearing. But as I said, it's about conquest. You had it here. That when they, even though they try to conquest in earlier stage, resist. Like the way people of the Benua is resisting right now. A time will come, the people of Benua, if not used to achieve recognition, people of Benua will be well captured. Because look at the massacre. Why are they massacring people? They are massacring them for them to be afraid and succumb, because it's all about force. But they will tell you, oh, it's not about force. It's about the will of the people. It's about the will of people. When over 5,000 of security that was protecting people of Namibia was being massacred, and over 2,500 was being killed, over 5,000, over 1.2 was fled, and they take over their territories and occupy it. Is it slow? Is it peaceful? What is that? It's not conquest by force. And they also said in the last fulfilled summary, they told you that they do this by changing the political stages. Political changes comes in. That is why Nigeria today, the president, Muslim, the vice, Muslim. Any vital position in Nigeria is being handled by the Muslim. That is to prove to you, because under the Islam said that you must prove that you are in charge and you have a highest population, that the Christians should be minority. Are they not addressing you from all this region, that is Christians in all this region, as a pure minority in Nigeria? I'm asking you, are they not been addressing us as a minority? It's not now, because it's a new thing. I want to tell you, whether you like it or not. That's what they will do to you before you will know that you have done a mistake. And that is when Hadino will catch you up. Karma is real. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. Continue to attack you to the declared. Do not stop. That's what. Do not stop. Continue your attack. Continue your shenanigan until time like this comes. Then you will understand that it's only USB will serve you. That is one that you must understand. The time is clicking fastly. That is why Obatobi understand this movement. And he made it, he said, it's 5 years. I am going to do this, and Biafra will become a country. He said the same way you were sleeping, Biafra was redeclared. It's the same way you're going to be sleeping. You might be on social media attacking USB charger, USB terrorists, USB this. The revolution will come. Okay, maybe n'anya. Maybe here now, it must surely happen. I said what? It must surely happen. Please, like I said, if you want to join me, you are free to join me now before I will shut down in the next 20 minutes. Please. Listen to this again. Listen.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian.
That is why they are reducing the population of the Christians. There is no how they will do reducing your population by killing. And that's why I give you an example of all these countries. Remember, security people that want to protect the Christians in Nigeria, 5,000 was being massacred. Remember again that in Egypt, over 7,000 that trying to protect the Christians, there was first littered and killed the security men, so they can be able to go to the civilian with their conquest. And once they come, in Namibia, 1,200 flew away. They never come back. They forgot their home and everything. Yes. Testimony. Sorry, Faith, you are right. Egypt was a Christian country before. But listen to this history. You hear what happened.
Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition. Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom, with the Coptic Christian Church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim-majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching. Under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion. Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historically part of the heavily Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching. Modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression. Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity outside the privacy of the small foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan. The transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests but eventually collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims. Even amid changing regimes and legal shifts, preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5. Niger. The transition. While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
I hope you are listening. And you see the excuse. They see avenue to enact their law to prove to you we are the owner of this country. This country is one of the most Islamic countries in the world. You see, when you are doubting or you never believe on it, remember that a sage they told us that some countries also follow example how their close neighbor did their own. If Niger, that is very close to Nigeria, can do it, that is how today Nigeria has looked at how Niger did their own and implement their own law. I hope you are listening and you understand it clearly. That is only what saves us from this is what? Only United States of Biafra redeclared. You had it here that Algeria was a full Christian foundational holder when it comes to Christianity. Then they built a church called Saint Augustine. After they knock it down. After they did what? They knocked Saint Augustine down for them to carry on their activities. Look at the way I'm asking you. Have you heard that Fulanese killed people in the bus stop? It's not people inside their farm, inside their home. It's where they're killing people, massacring people. But look at how Nigeria, it's because of this security that they don't. It's want to let the world know it's not about that. It's about to complete the mission of Islamization of Osman Dan Fodio. That is what is happening there. That's what they are doing. So you that is doubting it today, I want to understand it clearly. That is only when you embrace United States of Biafra, is only when you have the hope. If these 5 countries in Africa, I know why I'm playing after playing, I play it again because of doubting Thomas. So listen again for the last time if I end the program.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim-majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition. Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom, with the Coptic Christian Church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim-majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching. Under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion. Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historically part of the heavily Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching. Modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression. Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity outside the privacy of the small foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan. The transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests but eventually collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims, even amid changing regimes and legal shifts. Preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5. Niger. The transition. While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
I hope you are listening with your two ears and you are hearing by yourself. It's not about, like I always use my word, it's not about me. I don't know to talk and in this country where I am. It is about my own heritage, my own people. It is about what is to come. That Nigeria decided to do what? Proving that Nigeria is a full Islamic nation. That's what it is. That is what it is. So, if you are still doubting you declared, continue. If you are still doubting United States of Biafra declared, continue doubting. I won't ask you to stop. Because of what? You never believed. You was asleep and it was declared. You're also going to be sleeping until you achieve a recognition, whether like it or not. So, continue whatever you think that you are doing. Those things that you think that you are doing. Yeah, St. Augustine was from Algeria. Yes, I said it. You see, now, if you had it here that other nations get their own from their fellow countries and how they put the law. Today, as we are hearing it here, that Niger, look at how Egypt, Algeria, Sudan, and they use that method to do their own. What is in your mind? Nigeria has looked at how Niger did their own and do their own also. So when you are attacking this new Christian nation, the only word I'm giving to you that I know that you already accepted Islam, but I myself did not accept it with you. I did not accept it together with you. So that is why I must be here to defend my mandate. I must be here to protect you as we declared with all my, anyhow I can do it. With anyhow I can do it, I must do it, because this is my own nation that removes me from Islam. So, continue. Do not stop. All I know is one thing. Whether I like it or not, age has been redeclared. And let me give you one assurance. Why Nigeria must do this and the number of Nigeria. Listen, let us find out if Nigeria is a member of OIC. This is where everything begins. If we see that just as an organization, but this is their criteria, this is how they will begin their own. Listen to this, very quickly listen to this.
Yes, Nigeria is a member of the Primary International Islamic Organization, which is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC.
Okay.
Here are the details regarding its entry and number. Year joined. Nigeria joined the OIC as a full member in 1986 under the military regime of General Ibrahim Babangida. Member number. Nigeria was admitted as the 45th member state of the organization.
Number 40 what? 5. As the member state of the organization of OIC. Are you hearing it?
Today, the OIC consists of 57 member states. While it is fundamentally an organization of Islamic solidarity, Nigeria is one of a handful of member countries, such as Gabon, Guyana, and Uganda, that are formally secular and pluralistic rather than having a singular Muslim majority designation.
I hope you had. Is it clear to you? Look at it. Was registered from when? 1986. Even before after Biafran War. I don't know what is wrong with our people. Instead of you to embrace your government, instead of you to accept for you to worship free worship, all you do is to attack. All you do is to attack. That is when I use my word that I will never stop you from attacking US, but you are digging your grave because you have already accepted Islam, which I myself and my entire generation will never accept it from you. I thank our division, I thank her so much for giving us a country. If not for that, look at where we are heading into. Mazdan was shouting about this, but it will become. All the Golan said that the only time we will stop this is when we achieve our goal of having a document of a peaceful declaration. That is when we can. So let anyone who decided that all you can do is to attack, we are moving. We will not move together. Some will be no. Some will say yes. Just 1 minute. Anyone today or any one of us who is still in doubt of USB, tell me, did you follow Mazina and Dekan properly? Did you follow Simon and Jacob properly? If you do, after our declaration, you will champion USB by yourself. I want to give you one thing again. Listen to criteria to be into organization of OIC. Listen to that quickly.
According to Article 3 of the Official Charter of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, any country wishing to join as a full member must meet a few strict criteria. UN membership. The applying country must already be an official member state of the United Nations.
UN membership.
Muslim majority. The country must have a Muslim majority population.
That is why
abiding by the
that is why they are killing Christians. That is why they are eliminating Biafrans. That's why they are putting us in prison for them to be able to meet this criteria. That is why you are seeing the pain in Benue State. People should wake up and know that only embracing, supporting you as declared is the only way we will end this.
Charter. The nation must officially agree to uphold and abide by the objectives, values, and principles outlined in the OIC Charter, such as promoting Islamic solidarity, respecting state sovereignty, and preserving international peace. Absolute consensus. The application must be approved by unanimous consensus, 100% agreement with no member objecting, by the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. The secular country exception. You might wonder how a country like Nigeria, which is split roughly equally between Christians and Muslims, or Gabon and Guyana became full members if a Muslim majority is required. The strict Muslim majority wording was explicitly codified in the 2008 amended OIC Charter to make the rules clearer. Prior to that, the older 1972 charter used the vaguer term Muslim state. During the 1970s and 1980s,
Nigeria is a Muslim state, whether like it or not. It was before 12 that the Sharia, now they have come to 14. And they are pushing to get Enugu State, to conquer Enugu State.
Nation was highly accommodating and admitted several pluralistic or secular nations that had significant active Muslim populations, but not necessarily a strict demographic majority. Observer status criteria: if a country has a notable Muslim minority population but does not qualify for or want full membership, such as Russia, Thailand, or the Central African Republic, they can apply for observer status under Article 4. This status also requires a strict consensus vote by the Council of Foreign Ministers.
I hope you listen to that. With what you had now, do you really believe that Nigeria is what? Full what? Muslim country? Is it clear to you? Look at the criteria. The population, the indigenous Christians. That is why numbers was being high in all these countries. Thousands. 300 and run away. 500 run away. 1.2 flew away. And look at, they said they denied them their own citizenship. They did what? They denied them their own what? Citizenship. Those who are non-Christians that refuse to surrender peacefully. That is when the number that was being massacred, the last one. Chai. And you are attacking US be declared. That can face them squarely. This is our territory. This is who we are. The massacre in Nigeria is to accomplish the agenda, is to accomplish the mission. The mission is to Islamize all of us. But Mazen Nandekano, Simon Ebanjoko, they said no, that the children of Chukwuka and the Chukwuka used our DPM and said, "You are my daughter. Go and declare it." And she went and do that. When the women in America joined Biafra movement, Biafra has come. From who? From the same man you claim you love and you believe on him. I will play this last part, my people, because of my time. Then I'm going to leave it here just to refresh your mind again. After that, I'm going to move because of what I have to do tonight. Just want to give this message out this wonderful night to Biafrans so you can be a part of this message. So I thank you for being here. And so I thank you so much for being here this wonderful evening, followed on this program. So listen to the message I have for you to remind you again. It has happened in 5 African countries, more than that. But we only pick 5 to give you an example where it has happened. So listen to this. One minute.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim-majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom, with the Coptic Christian Church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching, under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion. Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historically part of the heavily Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean, before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching, modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression. Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity outside the privacy of the small, foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan. The transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests but eventually collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims. Even amid changing regimes and legal shifts, preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5. Niger. The transition. While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
I hope you have listened to it and you do understand it carefully, and what we have to do at this stage for us to support our country as the only way we can achieve our own nation. There is no other way around. Whatever you think that you are hearing, whatever you think that is happening today, is all way planned from Nigeria government. Is way planned from where? From Nigeria government. In the case of Islamization. In the case of what? Islamization of the indigenous people that must be done through a conquest, through a by force, through if you not agree, we beheld you. If you not agree, we will wipe away your generation. So all of you in the comment section, please, I have flashed your comments on the comment section. Is all wonderful one. So I thank you all for being here as we are drawing the curtain from here. So I thank you. May Elohim continue to protect us, protect our government, guide you wherever you are commenting from. What we are looking for is recognition of you already declared that we said to Shukwu Kabiam, we will never bow down to Islam. We are your own and believe in you. That is why we are fighting. And we ask you to change all the heart of pharaohs, all the heart of countries of this world that need to organize us. Let them come and organize you as already declared. This is the only way you can have our nation. This is the only way that we, as people of your own, will never be perished. This is the only way that we are not going to be under Islam. We ask Shukwu to do this for us, protect our life, guide us, touch the heart of men from the Christian world to organize us. so we can be able to protect every indigenous person who is those that are worshiping you, that are being paid every blessed day. We ask you this, and you believe you answer our prayer. He said, he said, he said.
In North Africa and parts of the Sahel, several regions that had strong Christian roots or majorities during the Roman and Byzantine eras gradually transitioned into Muslim majority regions following the Islamic expansions from the 7th century onward. If you are looking for modern examples in Africa where public preaching or proselytizing, such as at a bus stop, street corner, or public marketplace, is restricted, banned, or highly regulated due to this framework, here are 5 key countries. 1. Egypt. The transition. Egypt was one of the earliest centers of Christendom, with the Coptic Christian Church forming the vast majority of the population prior to the Muslim conquest in 641 CE. Over several centuries, through gradual conversion and social shift, it transitioned to a Muslim-majority nation. The rule on public preaching. In modern Egypt, while the constitution guarantees freedom of belief, it is strictly illegal to proselytize or preach Christianity to Muslims in public spaces. Engaging in open-air evangelism at a public square or transit hub like a bus stop would instantly get an individual arrested for inciting sectarian strife or blasphemy. 2. Algeria. The transition. In late antiquity, North Africa, including modern Algeria, was heavily Christianized and home to foundational Christian thinkers like St. Augustine. The region transitioned entirely into a Muslim-majority population following the Umayyad expansions. The rule on public preaching. Under Ordinance 0603, Algeria explicitly criminalizes any attempt to shake the faith of a Muslim or convert them to another religion. Non-Muslim worship is strictly confined to pre-approved designated buildings. Preaching or distributing literature at a bus stop or public sidewalk is entirely banned and carries heavy prison sentences. 3. Libya. The transition, like its neighbors, coastal Libya was historically part of the heavily Christianized Roman/Byzantine Mediterranean before transitioning to an Islamic majority following the 7th century campaigns. The rule on public preaching. Modern Libya does not tolerate public, non-Islamic religious expression. Proselytizing to Muslims is completely illegal. Any attempt to preach Christianity outside the privacy of the small, foreign national Christian communities, especially in highly public areas like street corners or transit stations, is strictly prohibited and subject to severe legal penalties under laws safeguarding public order. 4. Sudan. The transition. For centuries during the Middle Ages, the Nubian kingdoms of modern-day Sudan were officially Christian. These kingdoms, like Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, resisted early conquests but eventually collapsed and transitioned to Islam by the 14th to 16th.
Please, before we continue, I want to make this one announcement. If you know that you want to travel to Finland on the day of a peak or a prime time on Ebanjok, please, if you don't know the location, the address, even booking your flights, where you will land, please contact me. I have all the details you needed. How to book your flight, the name of the airport, and everything about the traveling, and even on the court, the name of the appeal courts. Please contact me on my WhatsApp number. I will send you the location from booking from the territory, from where you are living to where you will land, and the next place that you are going, that you will see a taxi that will pick you up there. So you go to the appeal court and stand. Go in time. Nobody has time. None of all these gangsters that are using the name of Abatobi, what is the name of Mazen Nandekan, none of them will decide who enter the court premises. Even in Nigeria government, nobody decides. The government will decide. So just go that day on time. Stand if you have the opportunity to be there. If you want to go and visit Abatobi, contact me. All the details you need, both the airport, from country where you are, where you will land, where it's going to be like let me say up to 10 minutes transition through a taxi. You will be on the premises of the court appeal. I have all this information with me. See, if you contact me, if you want to visit Abatobi in Finland, I will give you. I didn't say the name of the prison. I said the name of the courts. The name of the courts, the name of the airport is supposed to land, and from there you transition. through a taxi 10 to 15 minutes to the arena. See, if you know you want to go and you don't have this information, it's bothering you, contact me. I will dish out this information to you.
18th centuries due to migration, trade, and political changes. The rule on public preaching. Sudan has historically maintained rigid rules against public proselytizing by non-Muslims. Even amid changing regimes and legal shifts, preaching a minority faith in crowded public arenas like bus stations is heavily restricted or outright criminalized under public disturbance, blasphemy, or social harmony laws. 5. Niger. The transition. While not a Roman Christian territory, regions of Niger and the wider Sahel historically held indigenous African religions before transitioning heavily to Islam through West African trade networks and empires. The rule on public preaching. Niger is technically a secular state, but because of heightened security concerns and the risk of religious friction, the government explicitly prohibits public proselytization for all religious groups in open public spaces. While people can preach and practice privately or within their houses of worship, setting up a microphone or gathering a crowd to preach at a modern bus stop or market is banned to preserve public safety. To see a direct modern parallel of how some African state governments implement these boundaries, you might look into this report regarding a Nigerian state's ban on unlicensed preaching. This video provides real-world context on how public preaching bans are actively enforced by local authorities to regulate the public square and avoid social unrest.
I hope you listen to that. That is my message for you for today. Until tomorrow again. Remember that also there is a criteria in all they are doing. So you can see that Nigeria met all these criteria of how and all their plans. So please, I want you to know, like I said, if you want to visit Obato Obie, you don't have details, contact me on my WhatsApp group, DM me there, then I will follow the details so you can be able to go and visit Obato Obie. I feel like ending it here, but if I end it, listen to this short message: criteria to be a member of Islam, and if Nigeria is a member, listen.
Yes, Nigeria is a member of the primary international Islamic organization, which is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. Here are the details regarding its entry and number. Year joined. Nigeria joined the OIC as a full member in 1986 under the military regime of General Ibrahim Babangida.
Are you hearing it?
Member number. Nigeria was admitted as the 45th member state of the organization. Today, the OIC consists of 57 member states. While it is fundamentally an organization of Islamic solidarity, Nigeria is one of a handful of member countries, such as Gabon, Guyana, and Uganda, that are formally secular and pluralistic, rather than having a singular Muslim majority designation. According to Article 3 of the official Charter of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, any country wishing to join as a full member must meet a few strict criteria. UN membership. The applying country must already be an official member state of the United Nations. Muslim majority. The country must have a Muslim majority population. Abiding by the Charter. The nation must officially agree to uphold and abide by the objectives, values, and principles outlined in the OIC Charter, such as promoting Islamic solidarity, respecting state sovereignty, and preserving international peace. Absolute consensus. The application must be approved by unanimous consensus, 100% agreement with no member objecting, by the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. The secular country exception. You might wonder how a country like Nigeria, which is split roughly equally between Christians and Muslims, or Gabon and Guyana became full members if a Muslim majority is required. The strict Muslim majority wording was explicitly codified in the 2008 amended OIC Charter to make the rules clearer. Prior to that, the older 1972 Charter used the vaguer term Muslim state. During the 1970s and 1980s, the organization was highly accommodating and admitted several pluralistic or secular nations that had significant, active Muslim populations, but not necessarily a strict demographic majority. Observer status criteria. If a country has a notable Muslim minority population but does not qualify for or want full membership, such as Russia, Thailand, or the Central African Republic, they can apply for observer status under Article 4. This status also requires a strict consensus vote by the Council of Foreign Ministers.